Yeah, trying to, try to find a center line and where we're going. And I'll probably, one of the reasons that I print so many is that I'll put it on a bunch of times till I get it where I think it's right. That is the good thing about when you can draw something on, is you got an idea in your head where it should go. And we can work like that. I'll always try to go above where the skin bends on a fold so the ink won't work itself out.
Mark has been tattooing me for about 6 years now, and I'm kind of a Alphonse Mucha fanatic. So that's what Mark's always worked on me.
With something like this that has a lot of detail in it like that, yeah, it's real important. Probably if you, smush too hard, it would blur it out. You want to keep it all crisp and clean.
Always excited to see Mark.
Oh, we got it good. Yeah, I never get it right the first time, but I think this looks really good. It's hard, a lot of times when you're doing a circular, pattern, when you put it on, because the skin's not flat, it'll end up looking oblong, but we got it pretty round in the right place. The gods are with us today. Yeah, I think that looks good. Check and see what you think, Monica.
Yeah, I think we got it.
So most of this is going to have to be single needle. And with a fine line, a lot of times if I'm using a 3, I will outline with the light gangster gray. But with the single and in something this intricate, I mixed up a little miracle water in with the light gangster gray. Just a couple of drops of the miracle water. I'm going to try it a little lighter, just to keep the line finer. It's made me a faster tattooer, and Freddie too. Doing the big areas of shading just seemed to go in, and where it was always hard to make a big area of one tone of gray, it's always been a little tricky to make it, super smooth, but it just seems to go, this stuff just wants to go in smooth and fast, And that's how old Colonel Todd trick from the pike is putting a little bend in the needle bar. So the needle's riding on the very back of the tube down there. So you kind of always know where it is. I have a little bit of the miracle water set up right there beside it. I love doing single needle. It's you can't tattoo fast. It's slow, but it's the outline I'm most comfortable with. And like nowadays, a lot of people, call this style of tattooing black and gray and this and that. But when I got to LA in 1980 and was working at the Pike with the old timers, Colonel Todd and Bob Shaw, they all referred to it as single needle, because that was, the one thing that they were doing at Tattoo Land and East LA that they weren't doing anywhere else. Every place else, they'd shade a little bit. Doing an eagle, you gotta shade black on it, but they would never outline or think of outlining with a single needle. So that was what it was referred to by the old timers as single needle style tattooing. Nowadays, a lot of black and gray guys don't mess around with the single needle anymore. In a lot of ways, it seems like newer school black and gray guys hardly even like to outline. A lot of them will go in shading first, or I think a lot of black and gray guys tattoo everything as if it was a portrait. So like maybe if I was doing a portrait, I would go in with a shader first. Kind of funny just in thinking about it now since we've been talking, and every now and then I thought about it, that I guess my style really shows that, you know, I did get the best of both worlds in that I worked with some of the greatest old-timers ever, Bob Shaw and Colonel Todd, you know, the heir to the Burt Grimm's throne. And, you know, I got to work with those guys, and they hammered a lot of the simple, hard, fast rules of tattooing in with me. That, you know, you gotta have an outline, a clean outline, you gotta have smooth shading, you gotta have bright color to do it. And even though for the last 35 years I've specialized in fine line black and gray, I still will do whatever it is that the customer wants. If it's color or oriental or traditional or whatever, I remember that. But even the way that I do black and gray, probably the fact that I will outline more than a lot of these newer black and gray guys. I still like to have a real outline. And I remember that was one of the things that the old timers would talk bad about, single needle style tattooing, that it was all shading and it wasn't gonna age well and the line would fall out. And so I always try to, you know, make a real outline, even if it's fine, it's there, and try to think about how, and with something like this, it's a challenge, how to make it look good forever. So you'll have to go in light, and you'll have to leave certain skin showing, even though, you know, you want it to have a ton of detail. Yeah, I call it super dark black velvet, but all of the grays have a kind of a velvety feeling to them, and they heal up with kind of a velvety luster. And when I do, you know, my tattoos, somehow it's like, you know, my tattoos always look the same to me, but when Freddie started using the gangster gray, you know, I saw this change in his work, and it just made me super proud how it, like, you know, Freddie's always working on his craft, and he's been, you know, doing all kinds of different tricks. But yeah, when he started using the gangster gray, and I saw how it, you know, changed his tattooing a little bit, that made me real proud. That might be one of the coolest things about having this line, is that, you know, someone as great as who I look up to, like Freddie, you know, likes using it. It's hard for me to know when I'm done. I can go on for a long time, and I mean, that's one of the things that is good about tattooing for me, instead of doing, you know, drawn on paper, because I'll never really be happy, and I'll keep going on and on and on. But with tattoo, you know, people have a limit to how long they can sit. But I always just try to make sure you do, like any tattoo would do, try to have the dark, the medium, the light. And then leave a little skin showing here and there. And It'll kind of tell you when it's done. But a lot of times you have to take a second and back up off it a little bit and look before you know you're done. When you get in the zone or whatever like this, it's hard to tell. No, I think it's like, for me, it's a pretty, you have the, moments with your family and with your kids that are like that. And I think it's all just, when you're using the gifts God gave you or whatever, that's when things are good, you being a good dad or a good, husband or a good tattooer. It's all kind of the same thing. But when you're, it's like when you're operating on all 8 cylinders, I think that's when life is good. Like I see tattoos, where people go in too deep and blow the line out. And, I just always think it's better to go in soft and light, especially when you're tattooing a girl. You can always, build it up and go over the outline rather than to go in. I think a mistake a lot of people make, or it's philosophical. People are always in a rush, I think a lot of times people are doing one tattoo and they might have their head on whether they're going to miss doing the next one. And I think you can tattoo like that. Be willing to, commit to whatever it is you're doing 100% and not worry about nothing else but that. It's, in a way, I think when you're really doing it good, it's like beyond or left of focusing. It's just, like you're in the zone. And focusing to me means like kind of concentration and thought and effort, and you want to start off like that, but ideally you want to get into the place where it's just flowing and you don't have to think and you don't have to concentrate. It's just happening, That's what I strive for. That's one of the cool things about it, is that I know a lot of people that are using it now, and everybody seems to use it in a little different way, Someone like, Stanley Moskowitz, old-timer, likes that big, heavy outline. He'll use the dark for outlining. He's in love with it. Says it's the best, outlining ink he's ever used. But, with, me wanting it fine all the time, I'll go for the lighter stuff. But it's all like, and it's cool because it's adjustable with that miracle water. And you know what? We're all used to having a little distilled water or water around to lighten up what it is we're using. But it doesn't work in the same way that the miracle water does. It's just, that's the secret ingredient that makes it flow when you start shading. It makes it easier to get that seamless gradation from dark to light. Yeah, the Gangster Gray ink is so unique because you can just use it in so many different ways. Like I know, just the guys that use it here even, we all use it in a different way. And I'll never forget when Mario or Billy called me and they're like, oh, we need names for these grays. And I hadn't really thought about it. And I was in Venice, Italy at the time, and I don't never go anywhere. I've never really been anywhere. But we had just checked into this hotel, and my wife's friend knew the people that owned it, so they hooked us up. We had this crazy room. It was beautiful. It looked like, an old-fashioned Venetian whorehouse with the dark red and the velvet. And it was right on one of them little canals. but we just, you know, come in and checked in and like sat down on that big old bed, and then the phone rang, and they said, oh yeah, we need to get the names of these grays, like, and I'm like, well, when do you need them by? And they're like, well, now. So it must have been divine intervention. They didn't labor over what we're gonna call them, just spat it out, you know. So probably from being in all them cathedrals and shit, it all has that kind of hallelujah vibe to it with the let there be light and miracle water. When it comes to shading gray in particular, you don't want the skin tight. You want it kind of a little bit loose. If you're tattooing somebody in the back of the calf and their muscles flexed, it's harder to get that big piece of gray in smooth. There we go. That's different. That's cool.
Yeah, I like this one.
Check it from your viewpoint. I like it.
Looks similar.
So that's all there is to it, folks. That's how you do it with the little gangster gray. Beautiful LA. Thank you.